Hello everybody and welcome back to Screen Stars. I'm here today to bring you my review for the 2020 horror film Fantasy Island, a film that is directed by Jeff Wadlow and it stars Michael Pena, Maggie Q, Lucy Hale, Austin Stowell, Jimmy O Yang and Ryan Hansen. Now, this is a film that's been getting, I would imagine, best way to describe this is pretty poor reviews. I've only seen one review for this before I watched it, and that was enough. And it put me off. However, I was at a bit of a loose end, so I thought I would give it a go. And what is this film about? Well, from my understanding, it's based loosely on the TV show that in the UK we didn't really know much about this TV show, Fantasy Island. It probably was shown occasionally, but I never watched it. But it is basically this island that can make your fantasies come true. And this island is run by Michael Pena's character, Mr. Rourke. And guests arrive, they let them know their deepest fantasies, and the island makes them come true somehow. However, there is a price to pay for these fantasies coming true, as these new guests who arrive on the island all find out to their expense. Right, so what are my thoughts and feelings on this film, Fantasy Island? Well, the first thing I'm going to say is I don't think this is just as bad as probably most of the reviews are saying. Certainly the one I saw, and it was Chris Stuckman, you know, arguably the most popular film reviewer on YouTube, and he hated the film with a passion. I thought it was watchable at best. It was very, very tame stuff. It's one of those pretty low-key, tame horror films that doesn't show an awful lot, and I didn't find particularly scary, but there are elements of it that I thought were decent. But there is a lot wrong with this film. There's plot holes you could drive. You could fly jumbo jets through. There's characters making imbecilic decisions. There's really, and I can't stress this enough, really, really annoying characters in this film that they just don't exist in real life. People that annoying, they just can't. People won't put up with them these days. And constant pop reference thrown out there from Die Hard, etc., etc. It's facepalm stuff, some of the dialogue in this film, I'm not gonna lie. And how they arrived on the island, it reminded me of Scooby-Doo, you know, the Scooby-Doo film with Sarah Michelle Gellar, where they turned up at Scooby Island, or whatever it was called, scary, I don't know, you know the one I mean, from the Scooby-Doo film. It reminded me of that. It was almost comical. And then once the film settles into what it's doing, there are a couple of moments that work. I thought the Maggie Q character was the most grounded and her character worked the best. I enjoyed her arc in this story for the most part, and she gave quite a reserved performance that made it tolerable. I quite liked the soldier fantasy. This guy wanted to be a soldier because he wanted to reconnect with his father who died many years ago, blah blah blah. I quite like that arc, but it didn't go anywhere fast. And so some of the fantasies were interesting, but I just couldn't get my head around the fact that when these fantasies were becoming a reality and they realised that these weren't actors and this was actually their reality or past reality, they accepted it far too readily and far too easily for my money. One of them, you know, she actually openly shouts out, "Oh, this isn't a hologram." And I thought, what a ridiculous thing to say. And there's no character development, zero character development for these characters. The only character development you get is when the fantasy starts, which is when you learn about their pasts. But it's just one-dimensional character development. You just learn this one thing about their lives, basically. And that's it. So the consequences of that are you don't particularly care about a lot of these characters. And there's, like I said, there's massive plot holes, and I don't want to go into too much depth because I don't want to spoil it if you do choose to watch this film. But I mean, the major one for me is, if guests come to this island and die as a result of their fantasy, how is this island not been A, shut down, or B, blabbed on by guests? I mean, they give this really ridiculous excuse at the end as to why, the island has kind of stayed open and why people haven't talked about the island, etc. And I think they just panicked and brought it in and just thought, oh, they'll accept it. Don't worry about it, it'll be alright. And the film at times is painfully predictable. And some of the idiotic decisions that they take, the characters, defy belief. They just do. So, like I said, there's a lot wrong with this film, and it's some of the criticism it's getting is certainly justified, I think. But I was reasonably entertained with it. I thought it looked great. The location was beautiful. I thought some of the performances, like I say, Maggie Q's, Michael Pena was alright. It felt a little bit miscast, but his performance was sound. And like I say, Maggie Q certainly helped the film with her performance. So there was a couple of performances that helped, but I felt it was entertaining, but just far too tame for a horror film, and just not enough scares. It didn't feel scary enough, and it tried to obviously give you the cheap jump scares now and again, which just frustrate the hell out of people. Why will they not understand that we don't like cheap jump scares? We want earned scares. So I don't think it's as bad as just everybody's making out, or probably a lot of people are making out. I'm going to give it a 6 out of 10. Seriously flawed, a lot of problems with it, but it is reasonably entertaining. So that is my review for Fantasy Island. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you found it useful. I'll see you soon for more reviews on Screen Stars.